I'm Doth Savick, and this is my review of the Starframe Brick. This is a funky one. You're gonna want to check it out. Starframe hooked this bag up for free. This is a promotion review. I got this bag for no cost. This bag weighs 1.34 kilos. It retails at $94.95. It's an interesting unit. There's not a whole lot that you can really directly compare this bag with. In particular, it's really unique that we have all of this disk storage up top. As I have it loaded up now, I've carried it a few different ways, but as I have it now, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 putters and mids, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 drivers in there. So I've got 18 up top. That's definitely not its limit. I've got room, as you can see, splitting that out. I could slide another, 2 or 3 drivers in there, or 2 mids for sure. Part of what decides how many discs I pack on top is how much stuff I have in the bottom section of this bag. If you don't have the bottom very full, then the discs will sag down. That belly will droop a little bit, and that also brings the sides in pinching. So even though, like in this scenario, it's a pretty loose fit, it's mostly because I have the bottom pretty full. For example, you can see I've got a hoodie jammed in there right now, and you can watch what happens when I pull that hoodie out. It lets those discs, as I described, drop in, and that starts to make it feel a little bit more full that way. If you don't have the bottom full, then you're going to carry probably a few less discs. One of the more unique things about this is that it doesn't have a dedicated putter pocket. A lot of bags, your putter slot is either on the side down here, DD's done that on a few, or you've got a slot up on top for your putters. With the main disc storage up on top, your putters just go straight in, and I've started using them to divide my mids and my drivers. As I'm moving through the round, a lot of times one or both of those ends up just going straight to the back, and that sort of opens up your capacity even more. Like, as you can see, if I were to leave those in place and grab a couple more putters, I could stack them back there. So you could fill the bag out that way. If you don't have that bottom compartment packed, then you'll start to see the discs on the sides lift up as they're doing right now. And part of that is because when we come to that lower section, we've got hard panels inside the left and right side of the bag, but not in the front. So it's letting the front tuck a little bit, as you can see happen there. In my opinion, this thing really carries the best when you have a pretty full load in the bottom. And for me, that means I'm carrying an extra layer of clothing. I've carried this so many different ways, and that's maybe its strongest point, is the different ways that you can load this out. I've had a hoodie in there, a rain jacket, a hoodie and a rain jacket, and then underneath it, all of my other things. I've also brought it out for field work where I carried my camera that I'm recording this on inside of my entire camera bag and set that down in the bottom. This is kind of a choose your own adventure setup here. The options are pretty deep for how you lay it out. The weakest point is if you're not filling that bottom and then your discs start to sag like that. It's not the most enjoyable interaction when they start pinching together. As you saw when I slid my putters back in place there, I had to like really reach in and divide those discs when I pulled the hoodie out. You know, when the hoodie's in there and it's all lifted up, that's not a problem at all. We've got a full zippered closure over those discs, which is definitely something that you want to utilize. If you're going to go all the way into that bottom compartment, you're going to flip the lid backwards and your discs would fall out if you haven't zipped it closed. As I'm carrying it right now, you can see the big hoodie that I had in there. I've been using this little 6-pack, I don't know, it's a super cheapo cooler you could get from any department store. Set off to the side. I can put an ice pack in there. You know, those are 12-ounce cans, and you can see they're not even coming halfway up. You can pack this thing full of cans in the bottom if you really were going for like a party round or something like that. You can watch my unboxing VOD if you want to see me pack it full of cans. I'm not going to do that for you today. Off to the other side here, I've got a towel in there, my little zippered pouch with all my normal bag tags, lighter, dog poop bags, all cash, all those extra little things, hand sanitizer. I've got my rangefinder in there, sunblock, my water bowl for my dog. You don't run out of room down here is kind of the bottom line. I've carried my radar gun in here. There's so much space. You can see that without the hoodie in there, all of my normal stuff is taken up half of the room. With that zipped up and the top open, I like to just take this and tuck it right down the back. Get it under the discs there. You've got a little gateway. That's how I pulled my hoodie out the first time. That'll let you sneak in and grab whatever you want. You want to pull cans out of your cooler or put your crushed empties back in, or stuff a whole layer in there. You don't have to Pac-Man open the entire thing every time. Oh, I zipped in the other zipper keeper there. That's what was stopping me. Moving around the bag a little bit, off of that would be my right shoulder. This high cut pocket here is where I've been keeping my cell phone, just because it's that tall. It fits in there really well. And then off to the side, I've been sliding my Sharpie in there. I've also put my Sharpie in this zippered pocket a couple times. And then also putting my mini down in here. This is not quite wide enough to put a disc in. I thought maybe that was going to be a spot for putter pocket or something like that, but it just isn't quite the case. So that's where my cell phone's been living. Across the front, we've got another zippered pocket there, and that is where I've been putting my wallet and my car keys. I could fit a little bit more. Like if I put my phone up there, it would take up most of that space. I kind of like having my wallet and car keys separated under one zipper. I feel like they're pretty secure. And then on the other side, we've got our beverage holder. I'd really like to see this beverage holder bigger. It's a tight squeeze. I've got my small Nalgene in there. This is a little 14 ounce Nalgene, and it fits well. I wish that I had the room to carry a full-size Nalgene in there. I mean, if you're carrying a bunch of cans, which, you know, hey, maybe they're not water, it is nice to have some water on the course, and a big Nalgene is the way to go. Even if you are going 12 ounces all the way, this is a tight pocket. If I didn't bring a koozie in here, but if I put just a normal, like, lightweight 12-ounce can koozie, it's a snug fit right there. And that's not something you want. You know, if you're carrying your beverage, walking out to your drive, set the bag down, and you're ready to throw your putt or your upshot, you're looking to set your can down. And to have to, like, with the koozie, work it into that pocket is not ideal. It makes you think of, like, okay, well, that's too much hassle. I'm just going to set it on the ground instead. So then you're looking for a spot to set your can down. And that's just not the sort of things you really want going through your mind right before you putt. So I think that would be an awesome change on this bag in the future if that beverage holder was made a little bit bigger. You can see without a koozie on there, it fits a 12-ounce can just fine. So what I just described as an issue is really only the case if you're wanting to carry a larger Nalgene or put a koozie on your beverage. On the back of the bag, we've got a pretty hefty rubberized handle on the haul loop here. I like having that. A lot of bags are pretty streamlined, like a single piece of looped webbing there, tubular webbing. This is tubular webbing with a piece of rope in it, which is nice. That gives you a nice thick thing to grab. But then even on the outside of that, you've got a rubberized handle. What's odd about this, and a lot of this has to do with that we have discs up top, so much weight up there, and then the haul loop is really far to the back. When you pick it up, that bag really kicks on an angle and tilts forward. Along with that, we have like a relatively low cut on the discs here, especially if you have the bottom filled, and that's kind of helping lift the discs up. You know, when you lift the bag like that, in some situations, I'm like, oh, I got to be careful, or my discs might flop out a little bit. So it sits on a little bit of a weird angle that way. You know, on some other bags, the weight isn't distributed as far out and it sits lower, so your bag's not kicking on as an extreme of an angle. That's kind of just a side effect of having so much weight up top on this. They do have a little D-ring up on the corner here if you want to hang stuff off of. I like that they've gone with a bottle opener on the straps. It kind of speaks to the intended design of this bag and how many beverages it can carry. Sternum strap back here. It is adjustable, not a huge range, but you can move that sucker up and down. I've not clipped that sternum strap closed while I use the bag. I have not felt the need to, but it is there. Padding on the back, we've got some variation in how far the padding stands off. These two stripes on the side as well as the bottom piece are a little thicker padding and stick out further. It's a, how do I say, it feels like a dense bag on the back. It's not a wide profile by any means. It doesn't feel particularly tall. It's heavy the way that I've been loading it out. The bag itself is not, but if I'm doing, you know, a full rack of 18, maybe 20 discs on top and a minimum of 4 beverages in the bottom, I've been testing its capacity, so carrying lots of fluids. It does feel heavy, but it's also has somewhat of a compact feel. I guess that's where dense comes to mind. I wouldn't say that it's felt like particularly comfortable, but I think that's a byproduct of all the weight that I've been putting in it. It's not an uncomfortable bag. It's just a relatively small size, and if you jam it full of weight, you're gonna feel that. I've messed with, like as I talked about, if the bottom's not full and it drops in a little bit, I took a piece of just like rubberized mat sort of and set it down under the discs, and that did help some as far as like this action that we're seeing where it starts to sink in here and it's kind of being held up by our hard side panel. If you drop a hard layer under the discs, that does make up for not having a completely packed bottom, a bottom section. It will lift these up a little bit. So that's a potential option if you want to drop something in there. I'm not sure that that's a good trade-off to make. If you start lifting the discs up, then you're bringing this like low zipper line into play, and you don't want to like risk your disc rolling out the front. So something I experimented with a little bit, but I still kind of have mixed feelings about it. Honestly, I just think using the bag as it is probably the best. If you have that extra towel or that extra layer of clothing or something like that, great. Jam it in there, and that may help stop the discs from pinching together. I could envision myself using this, bringing it out for tournaments, where I want to bring, my lunch in the bottom, extra cold beverages, all of my extra discs on top, and it's great that way. Similar for field work. I can put my camera in the bottom. I can put my radar gun in the bottom and my rangefinder and just, completely load it out, even add more discs in the bottom, and then all my normal stuff up on top. If you're curious to see some of those different loadouts that I just described, I've been using Instagram to take photos as I'm testing these bags and, shooting them out there. If you want to follow along and see what bag I'm reviewing and testing next, that's the spot to look. Maybe I'm testing a bag you already are using and you know a lot about it and want to offer me some tips about how you use the bag or what you think about it. I'd be totally interested to see your comments about that. This is a fun bag to use. I mean, there's a couple quirks with how the discs stack up top, but the options you get with that bottom, like I'd be curious to see how do you guys decide to use this bag? What's your bottom loadout look? Are you going to stick a little cooler off to the side? Are you going to pack the whole thing with beverages? Like I said earlier, it's kind of choose your own adventure. So I know you guys are creative. You can think of some fun things to do with it. Maybe my favorite thing, which was somewhat unexpected in using this bag, is that I just didn't have to bend over as far as I do when I use many other bags. A lot of bags have a couple putters up on top you can use, but you're bending over that much further, reaching down that much further to pull discs out of your main compartment, and you just don't have to do that with this bag. You can stand up straight, look down, and see all of your discs in there, and then you don't have to bend over as far to pull them out and put them back in. That's something that I think a lot of, some cart users will appreciate, especially looking at a Rovic or Bag Boy, something like that, where all your discs are up much higher and you realize that you don't have to bend over as much during a round. That's one of the things that it took me a few rounds with this before I realized that I really appreciated that. And it adds a lot of value to this bag, in my opinion. Hey, here's the deal. You can be the hero. You can carry enough beverages in the bottom of this bag that all of the dudes that get teamed up with you during that doubles round are going to be your biggest fans. Bottom line, there are so many options for how you lay out the bottom of this bag that it just kind of has my curiosity sparked. This isn't a $400 high-end bag, right? Like, I don't know how long it's going to last. It depends how much you beat it up. But the layout is intriguing, I gotta say. You can lay that bottom out so many different ways. And in particular, if you like the idea of having easy accessibility up high to all of your discs, this one may be worth a shot. If this one hasn't sparked your interest, but you do like the idea of having a lot of disc access up high, then check out one of the 2 reviews I've got on the screen right now. Both the Ridge backpack and the Fossa Skinny 2 are bags that have a lot of discs up near the top. One of them might be the one for you.